The town of Silverbrook was small, the kind of place where everyone knew each other's business and nothing stayed secret for long. Nestled in the valley of Oregon's wooded hills, it looked like a painting. Charming cottages, cobbled streets, and wide open skies that turned purple in the evenings. But beneath that postcard perfection, people carried their stories, their heartbreaks, and their healing in silence. Emily Carter was known as one of the kindest women in town. She wasn't flashy, loud, or demanding. She worked as a school librarian at Silverbrook Elementary and spent her weekends helping at the animal shelter. Her life was simple but full. People often said she was the kind of woman who made you feel calm just by being near her, the kind of soul who asked nothing and gave everything. When she met Josh Turner, everyone thought it was the perfect match. Josh was a carpenter, good-looking in a rugged kind of way, with a grin that made people forget their troubles. He was the type of guy who could charm your mother, fix your kitchen, and dance with you barefoot in the backyard under the stars. All in the same day. But charm is tricky. It shines bright, sometimes too bright, and blinds you before you can see what's underneath. They met at a community fundraiser in the town square. Josh was there helping build the wooden stage, hammer in hand, sweat dripping from his brow. Emily had volunteered to manage the bookstall. Their eyes met over a stack of donated novels, and something clicked. It was innocent at first, shared coffees, long walks, easy laughter. Then, as time passed, their lives slowly twined together like ivy climbing up a porch post. For the first year, everything seemed perfect. Josh made her laugh, opened doors for her, remembered little things she said. He brought her daisies, her favorite flower, just because. Emily, in turn, loved him deeply. She cooked his favorite meals, listened without judgment, and believed in him even when he doubted himself. Her love was quiet but fierce. She didn't need grand gestures. She just wanted to build something real. But sometimes, real isn't enough for someone who doesn't know how to appreciate it. As the months rolled into the second year, the cracks began to show. Josh started pulling away. He'd snap over small things. Burnt toast, a misplaced screwdriver. He came home later and later, smelling of cologne and whiskey. When Emily asked where he'd been, his answers were vague, his eyes distant. Still, she didn't give up. She tried harder. She thought maybe if she loved him a little more, he'd find his way back to her. But loving a man who doesn't love himself can feel like trying to fill a bottomless well. One night, Emily found a lipstick-stained napkin in the back seat of his truck. Her heart sank, but she didn't yell. She simply asked him, "Is there someone else?" Josh shrugged, couldn't even meet her eyes, and muttered, "Does it matter?" That moment broke something in her. Not the silence, not the room, but her belief that love alone could fix things. She didn't scream. She didn't pack his things or throw plates. She simply turned around and walked into the guest room. That night, she slept alone for the first time in 2 years, her back to the wall and her hand resting where his used to be. The next morning, she made breakfast like usual, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. And Josh, he barely noticed. He had already started drifting away, chasing something that shimmered but wasn't real. Over the following weeks, Emily changed. She started reading more, spending longer hours at the library. She joined a yoga class, something she'd always wanted to do but never had time for. She went hiking with her neighbor Rachel, laughed more with her students, and reconnected with old friends she hadn't seen in years. Josh noticed, but not in the way that mattered. He thought it was a phase, a silent protest. But it wasn't. Emily wasn't trying to punish him. She was remembering who she was before she made herself small to fit into his world. Eventually, Josh moved out. He didn't even have the decency to say goodbye. One night, she came home and saw his things were gone. No note, no text. Just an empty dresser and a silence that echoed. She sat on the floor and cried. Not for losing him, but for the time she spent waiting for him to become the man he promised to be. Word spread through Silverbrook, as it always does. Some people whispered that Emily should have seen it coming. Others said she was too good for him from the start. But the truth is, when a good woman loves, she doesn't do it halfway. And when she gets hurt, the hurt doesn't disappear. It transforms her. Weeks turned into months. Seasons changed. Emily flourished. She started a book club at the library, opened a second-hand bookstore cafe, and adopted a golden retriever named Henry. The bookstore became a little sanctuary for people who needed peace. Kids came in after school to do homework. Elderly folks sat with tea and novels. Emily smiled more, and slowly, her laughter became real again. Josh returned to town nearly a year later. Rumors were he'd lost his job in the city, and the woman he left Emily for had run off with someone else. He showed up at her bookstore one quiet afternoon, looking thinner, older, eyes shadowed with regret. "Emily," he said, his voice hoarse. "Can we talk?" She looked up from behind the counter. Her hair was tied back, glasses perched on her nose. She looked beautiful, calm, untouchable. Henry lifted his head from where he lay and wagged his tail lazily. "I don't think there's much to say," she replied gently. Josh fumbled. "I messed up. I know I did. I didn't see what I had until I lost it." She looked at him for a long time. Not with hate. Not even with sadness. Just with clarity. "You didn't lose me," she said softly. "You gave me away. And I finally stopped trying to hold on to someone who was already gone." He blinked, the words hitting like stones. "Do you think there's a chance?" Emily stood up and walked around the counter. She didn't touch him. She simply smiled, a smile full of peace and finality. "There's a chance for you to become better," she said. "But that journey isn't mine to walk with you anymore." And with that, she turned back to help a young girl who was picking out a book. Josh stood there for a moment, then walked out into the summer sun, realizing that some bridges, once burned, never get rebuilt. In the years that followed, Emily never married again. But she was never lonely. Her days were full of meaning, her nights full of peace. She built a life she didn't need to escape from. A life where she wasn't waiting for someone to choose her, but had already chosen herself. Because when a man hurts a good woman, she doesn't fall apart forever. She rises, stronger, wiser, and softer in the places that matter. And though the world may never see the scars, they are there. Quiet reminders of the love she gave, the pain she endured, and the strength she found when she stood up alone.